Good evening and welcome. Tonight, the federal government considers more reforms for the prison sector, denies jailbreak in Kirikiri prison in Lagos. Bayelsa State Chief Judge Kate Abiri releases 3 inmates on compassionate grounds. The Nigerian Navy seizes 3 barges carrying about 100,000 liters of stolen crude in Rivers State. While fears mount in the United States as health worker who treated Thomas Duncan is infected with Ebola. When the jailbreak story broke, the prison management at the Kirikiri medium cell came out quickly to refute it. But that does not seem to be enough, as the Minister for Interior, Mr. Abba Moro, was in Lagos today to also dismiss the speculation. The minister visited the prison to ascertain welfare of the inmates and promised government's efforts at improving standards. Mr. Moro equally gave indications of ongoing talks with prison management outside of Nigeria to ensure compliance with international best practices.
As he makes his way through the imposing prison gates, the Minister of Interior, Comrade Abba Moro, begins assessment of damages almost immediately. News went out to town over the weekend that there has been trouble in this prison, leaving many contemplating if it was an attempted jailbreak or an uproar. Barely 2 months on the saddle, DCP Kayode Odeyemi explains why he is being considered high-handed by the inmates.
But I told them I don't want India and assets. And I said, there are too many assets here. I called on the inmates here with my staff and told them, I don't want assets in this yard. Before it was 33. The next one, they gave me 23. Between last 10 days and now, I have 26 in my office.
To check inmates' SSS, a court was put on patrol brought into the prison for inmates to power their generators. And as it stands now, these generators stand confiscated, in addition to over 100 mobile phones.
I think we can conveniently characterize what happened here on Friday as a riot within the prison. The riot, from the information that is available to me, is that some heads of churches, particularly the Freedom Chapel within the prison, came here unauthorized to install some gadgets, the loudspeaker system and some fans in the prison, without the knowledge of the officials of the prison, and it led to some questions, and the decision of the prison authority in Kirikiri here not to allow the installation of those facilities without proper authorization.
What really could be responsible, though? For the avoidance of doubt, this prison has a built-in capacity for 1,700 persons. Current number of inmates stands at 2,534. Only 98 have been convicted so far, while leaving a total of 2,436 awaiting trial, with a 160 staff strength. The actions of the inmates may be reactionary, though not justifiable. However, these statistics speak volume.
At the moment, yes, we have congestion, and it is very, very, very unacceptable. This is part of the whole problem of the prison system in Nigeria that we are grappling with. And I can assure you that by the time we finish our categorization of crimes and criminals and come up with possible solutions, that we will be able to contain the problem of congestion in our prisons. A decay that I have noticed now on some of the facilities in the prisons, the fencing requires some level of rehabilitation. The watchtower requires some upgrading. And of course, I think more fundamentally, there is need for us to rethink about the level of freedom that inmates can enjoy, especially compared to international best practices.
All seem to be very quiet now, and that's courtesy of the prison's armed squad, the prison's dog unit, and the Nigerian army, who's brought a lot of quietness to what happened here on Friday beyond the walls of these medium security prisons. Now, but what the federal government is saying that from this moment, a lot is going to go in the way of prison welfare, prison personnel training, and making sure that this place and other prisons across the country begins to have a semblance of what a correction facility should be. From Kirikiri town here in Lagos, this is Olu Phillips reporting for Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the Chief Judge of the Bayelsa State Judiciary, Justice Kate Abiri, has freed 3 inmates from the Okaka prisons in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. The Chief Judge, which performed the jail delivery activity for the second time at this particular prison since it was commissioned over 2 years ago, believes it is necessary to pardon some of the inmates in order to decongest the prison cells.
It's jail delivery day at the Okaka prison, a medium security prison in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Who will be pardoned and who will continue residing at the Okaka prison? The State Chief Judge, Justice Kate Abiri, who is saddled with the responsibility of discharging the inmates, began the day's proceedings by informing those present of the criteria for selecting those to enjoy her benevolence.
The committee was furnished with a list of inmates awaiting trial for varied cases, ranging from murder, armed robbery, kidnapping, rape, dealing in petroleum products, secret cult, and so on. The essence of the exercise of jail delivery is for decongestion of the prisons and release of persons who have stayed in custody for such long periods without trial.
Over 100 inmates were brought before Justice Abiri, and one after the other, they stated the reasons for the incarceration.
I wrote the check thinking that people owing me here also, he knows that they will pay. But those people did not pay, and then I had to pay 600,000. And then
remaining that balance of 2.4 million.
Yes.
At the end of the day, only 3 inmates heard the words, "You have been discharged."
Accused is a cancer patient and cannot continue to remain in custody for a civil action. She is accordingly discharged.
The others had to cope with some explanation by the Chief Judge as to why they were not so fortunate to obtain her pardon.
The cases we've not been able to fully handle will be taken back to the office to meet with the relevant persons handling them, maybe the magistrates, legal aid, and the Ministry of Justice, so that there will be no delay in their trial, particularly the ones that are awaiting trial matters.
Even though those still in custody did not regain their freedom, they enjoyed the kindness of the Chief Judge as she presented the staff of the prison with food items to assist in the upkeep of the inmates.
Well, we're not done with the law yet. Tomorrow, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, will present the former Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Security Minting and Printing Company, Ehidiamen Okoyemon, for extradition before a federal high court sitting in Abuja. Okoyemon's extradition is sought by the UK government over his alleged role in bribery allegation involving officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigeria Security Minting and Printing Company, and Security International Pty of Australia between 2006 and 2008. The former mint boss is also accused of forgery and identity fraud running into millions of naira during his tenure. The immediate past president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Oke Wale is said to have been kidnapped last night by unknown persons in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Although details of the incident, which is believed to have occurred at about 9 p.m., are still sketchy, the NBA has confirmed it. In a press release signed by the current president of the association, Augustine Alege, the NBA described the developments as shocking. In his words, Okewale is a man of peace who has not only contributed immensely to the enthronement of rule of law and protection of human rights, but also to the development of our nation. It is therefore saddening he should become a victim of kidnap. The NBA calls on the federal government to step up efforts to fulfill its primary constitutional role of providing for the welfare and security of all Nigerians, even as it passionately appeals to the abductors for his immediate release and a safe return to his family. And when the news at 10 returns, beg your pardon, part 2 after the break, PDP Southwest Zonal meeting holds in Ibadan, Oyo State, as a new leadership for the party emerges. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.